All right, welcome. It was a good win last week. I'm not going to get back into the win. Y'all can ask questions if you want, but focus on this last home football game for these 20-plus, 26 seniors, I believe, that we have. We need a good week of practice. We're playing a team that is playing inspired football to me. They play extremely hard. They've been able to put up some yards and some points offensively. We've got two quarterbacks that they play. One can do a little bit run and pass. One's more of a runner. We got a receivers caught over 100 yards receiving the last two games. Boyd, Devontae Boyd, who is a very, very good player. They play a lot of three-receiver, a lot of four-receiver sets, and try to spread you out and still run the ball. So it's going to be a big challenge defensively. They've given up a few yards in the pass game, but they've battled everybody extremely close. They're heavy inside, big in the interior, 300-plus pound guys. So it's going to be hard for us to move them. We're going to have to be balanced. We're going to have to run and throw the ball this week to have success. It's going to be a challenge for us. It's been a challenge for us every week we've played. So I don't expect this game any different. But I do, watching tape this year compared to last year, I think Coach Sanchez is doing a nice job. These guys are playing hungry and are in, every football game that they've played. Questions?
Coach Sanchez being the other first-year coach in this conference, do you ever kind of try to draw any comparisons about what he's doing, or can you because situations are so
No, we visited at the Mountain West Conference in Arizona. Then I saw him briefly at the media days in Las Vegas and just, talked a little bit about, first-year head coaching things. But as far as football, he's coaching his team, and I'm coaching mine and trying to get ready for the next opponent like I'm sure he's been. And, no, I'm worried about getting our football team ready, and I'm sure he's doing the same.
How close have you been able to become with the seniors on this team on a personal level?
Well, I've really it's a good question. I've really tried to do that. These seniors and I've said it many times, I believe, to you guys, have been through a lot. 3 coaches. Some have reminded me that they've had 4 coaches, if you count Coach Baldwin, who was their coach for a stretch of time in the bowl game. But I've challenged them. I've treated them like I recruit them, treated them like I treat everybody on this football team, and I feel like they've responded. Is it the season record-wise where they want to be right now? No, but it's what we are. And immediately after the game, talked to them about what they had to do to get ready for this game. But on a personal level, try to get to know every one of them, not just the seniors, everybody on this football team. And sometimes you have more conversations with seniors because they're the quote-unquote leaders of your football team about the direction you're going and how you want them to represent what we're trying to do. And those guys have done a nice job of that, in my opinion.
I feel like they've responded to you and how you came in, because that's always kind of the key to how the season goes.
It is. I think they've responded well. I didn't come in, came in trying to have a little bit of continuity and keep some of the same things. And you always want to keep traditions, that if traditions are here, but at the same time, you got to build your program the way you want it to be built and lay the foundation. And sometimes that's hard on guys that have been here a while, done things a certain way. It was hard on them at times, but I do think they've bought in and are ready to play week in and week out and try to execute the plan that we put in place and try to live by the culture that we're trying to put in place too.
How hard do you think it's been on them, though? You kind of gradually, you hope to get better every year, to go from that 10-win season last year to this year. You're an athlete yourself, a competitor. That's got to be hard.
Well, change. Well, I mean, it's tough. Change is tough. When you've had continuity and you're used to hearing the same thing, and now they would have been going on their fourth year of hearing the same message, the same terminology, the same way you do home games, the same way you do away games, the same way you handle off week, and the same way you handle off season. Then you have change, and it's hard. It's hard for a lot of people, and I think they've handled it very, very well. They're still playing very hard, and quite frankly, I challenged that group more than any group on the team last week. It had been easy for them to throw their hands up and say, "Hey, man, we're not going to win 10 this year." But they didn't. They came through for this football program and the other players on this football team.
That encouraged you about your run defense last week that made it look more like it had the first 3 weeks of the year?
I thought we played with. I thought we played our assignments extremely well. I thought we used our hat and hands extremely well. But I thought when we got to the ball carrier, it was violent like it was the first 3 weeks. And there was more than one guy. Yes, KP showed up and made big hits like he always has, but there were more guys to the party, more like the first 3 weeks. I thought after the first 3 weeks, it was more if one guy didn't get the guy down, it might be a big run. But I saw more team defense. I saw, 7, 8, 9 hats around the football. And then, we got more turnovers because of balls on the ground. We got multiple guys there trying to get to the ball. So I saw a better team defense.
So it was a return to doing their assignments better than they had, say, the previous 4 weeks?
I think so. And of playing, it's about effort on defense too. It's it's lining up as assignment, and then it's playing hard. That can erase some mistakes that you might make defensively, or if you're caught in a bad call versus a play that's got a chance to be successful. Where if you're playing with high effort, you can erase some of those mistakes, and I thought we did that on Saturday.
Do you see any correlation in the fact that you're running the ball better and you're getting better at stopping the run? Do those kind of
They do, because when you're taking time off the clock, your guys are fresher on defense. But what you do in practice, a lot of times guys they have to go against and see. But the teams that are the most successful in this league are able to stop the run and able to run the ball. And we've been able to do that a little bit the last few weeks. This week we did it without the turnovers. It got a few, and I think that's why we had some success.
You guys seem to have been, throughout the season, really, when you go against a more one-dimensional offense, been able to take that dimension away. A running team, Air Force, Wyoming, good run team, sort of force them to do something else. Minnesota even going back. Does this make this week a little bit tougher?
It does.
In the league.
You're very. That's a good point, Kelly, because that's why you want to be balanced. It's easy it's not easy. They still got to execute, but it makes it easier on a defense when you can just take one thing away. In the other part of the game, they might struggle. So that's why, yes, we ran it a lot on Saturday offensively, but we have to be more balanced. People can take away something if they want to. So this is going to be a challenge for us because they're able to run it and able to spread it around, and they got guys on the outside that can win one-on-one battles. So it's a challenge when you play a team that can do both. And we, so it's a big challenge. We're gonna get a plan. Do we have the plan in place yet? No, it's only Monday, but we'll introduce the base plan, and it comes down to winning, first and second downs and getting them in third longs, that sort of thing against any offense you're playing.
Why has it been so important for you to get Greg Leonard involved in this offense?
Well, just trying to change things up a little bit offensively, trying to add a spark, trying to have defenses prepare for something else instead of, okay, they're in this personnel group, they're going to be in the I or I slot. They're in this personnel group, they're going to be in 2x2 or 3x1, just to give teams something else to work on. And he possesses he's not ever played really. I think he had one carry last year against Hawaii is what he told me. But he's a leader. Those kids respond to him in the weight room. They respond to him on the field, even though he's only signaling out there at practice. And he's got a certain quality about him that when he's on the field, feel like that the players feel like we're about to be successful. So we put a little package for him, and it kind of expanded a little bit more from week 1 to week 2 that he played, and just that one reverse, even though we had the penalty, just because he was in there, we ran a play similar to that last week. Just everybody, the whole team was over there, and it's a shame it came back. But we'll continue to do different stuff like that to make defenses stay honest and have to practice them. It's practice time. They got to line up. They got to, all right, how are we going to line up to the Wildcat? And then, the Wildcat formation hadn't been the same each week too. They've been different formations, so they'll have to be basically, if Craig Leonard's in the game, they're going to have to, all right, we're going to work on this. We're going to stop these plays, and it takes practice of time away from them from lining up and working on how they're going to stop our base offense.
It looked like one of those plays he was prepared to pass and then decided the guy wasn't open, or was that
Yes.
just a pump fake?
No, it was a pass, and they did a nice job and covered it. And it wasn't there, and he was smart to tuck it down and run. And I think we got a holding call on that play when he had a positive gain of 4 to 5 yards. But that was a pass, and we got several passes for him. But we weren't going to call all of them in that game.
So that you and the staff have it.
Well, you got to
It's
be able
not
to.
just the running quarterback. When he's in there, you're going to let him do some other things.
No, you got to be able to do some different things out of those formations. If it's just quarterback power, where you read the in and head in the speed suite or running the power, they could stop you. So you got to be able to keep them honest. Heck, our longest pass completion last year, Georgia, was out of the Wildcat, and Todd Gurley threw it. So it was only 45 yards too. That was our longest. I don't know.
What did you see over the course of the season that this was the time to trust Craig with this, that you wanted to and put it in now?
Well, just to try to add, we were a little banged up at running back. Okay, we got some guys that are banged up. Jason O didn't play. Dawkins has been dealing with his hamstring, and Izzy's got another issue that injury-wise. So just to take a few shots off of the running backs and give him an opportunity. And every year that I've been calling plays, we end up introducing something like this. Sometimes it comes a little bit earlier. Just where we were offensively, I didn't think we were ready to handle anything like that, anything new, because we couldn't execute a basic lead zone right now. And then you just try to figure out which player gives you the best ability. You like it when it's a quarterback that has the threat to throw the ball. At Georgia, we just didn't have a quarterback like that, so it was Sony Michel, it was Todd Gurley, it was guys like that played that position for us. It's a way to get some cheap yards too. You hand it out there a lot of times, and it looks like, that didn't get much. Then you look down at 2nd and 2, and it keeps defenses off balance.
Did you look other people into that role, like a Joe Hansley?
Yeah, but Joe's not very big, and I like the ability to still run the power with the quarterback. And we did one play with Joe. I think it was Air Force game. It was the Air Force game with Joe back there at quarterback, and then we had Deontay a couple plays the other day, which they did a nice. We just didn't get the right look. They had a couple blitzes called that they had us outnumbered. But when we did get the right look for a guy like Deontay Gates, it's 89 yards. So. Even though some of them doesn't work, it's like we met this morning. I said, that's okay. If we get the right look, you're putting it in a guy's hands that's got a chance to go the distance. So, Gaines and Joe Hansley will be guys that might get more opportunities like that. And then Craig is more your traditional quarterback power type guy, similar to what Wyoming was doing with Smith last week.
Was last week close to the identity that you'd like to have as a team?
Yeah, it was. Stop the run, be physical, impose our will, let them know we're at the ballpark. I still would like to be more balanced offensively and take advantage of some of those one-on-one matchups that you have outside because you are running the ball. They are committing more people to the box. But it was one of those games going in that we were going to do everything possible not to put ourselves in any bad situations as far as turnovers and protect the ball, and make it a little simpler for Nick, except for the one throw. He was 11 of 15, very efficient. We need to generate some more big play passing off of that, but that is similar to what I would like to be, and play fast. I thought us playing fast for a quarter and a half there, for almost the first half, helped us, kept them off balance. We were fast, but we were playing physical. And then, slowed down a little bit in the second half. After that pick, I just basically shut it down, to be honest. I think somebody wrote it here. I was conservative, but I really don't care. We were going to win the game.
Turnover ratio, do you feel like you turned the corner last week? Was that an anomaly because it's Wyoming? How do you feel about that? Did you do anything different last week like you thought you were going to?
Well, I think the play calling was, a lot more ball control, keep the ball on the ground. Not, old line coach I had forever, you say 2-3 things happen when you throw the ball and 2 of them are bad, incomplete or a turnover. But I don't feel that way. I do like to throw the ball, but we have not been as successful as I've liked throwing the ball. And I truly felt the game turned the week before when I tried to force some things. They got to happen within our offense for number 82. Now, there are plays we called for him to cut 2 screens, to put the ball in his hands. But we got to do what we could do to be effective and win a game, and that's the number one reason why we haven't won as many games or haven't been in games like we wanted is turnovers. And we had to find a way to limit those things. So you'll see more of the same this week as far as our approach to try to protect the ball and, play defense, play field position. We got an outstanding punter. We got to do what it takes to win ball games.
Talked about, this offense, you really didn't talk about the defense that much. They seem to be a little bit more susceptible to pass.
Well, they have, and they're going to load the box. They like getting 8, 9 in the box. Even if you're in a 2-back set, they're going to get the 8th man down the box, and even their high safety plays relatively low. So you're going to have some shots for some one-on-ones, and we got to be able to take advantage of some of those shots and hit some. Are we going to hit everyone? No, but we got to call them. We got to call those shots. We got to make them know that we're going to throw the ball downfield. And then, too, you got if you can still run the ball when they're putting 8, 9 in the box, that gets discouraging for a defense. But, yes, they have been susceptible to the pass, and I do have a lot of confidence in our receivers and confidence in our quarterbacks. But for whatever reason, we've had some turnovers that have been costly. So we'll see. We're still putting in a game plan, but we will put the ball in the air. We're going to have to be more balanced this week than we were last week. Okay.
How pleased overall have you been just with the rushing offense this season? You're probably not going to have a 1,000-yard rusher, but this one's on pace to have more rushing yards than they did last year. They did have a guy named Pete Hart.
Yeah. I think I said after the game, I think we've gotten better each week up front and understanding our schemes. I think from the Utah State game on, really, we played pretty well up front run blocking in the last 4 games as an offensive unit. I think the backs are getting more confidence. Obviously, Izzy Matthews, a freshman, is getting more confidence. Dalen is back healthy. We got to get J.O. back healthy. But they're starting to see the holes. They're starting to understand the schemes, tight ends and fullbacks, not just the line, everybody. And we still had, several missed assignments the other day, but I think they're understanding what we're trying to do, whether we're a gap scheme or a zone scheme. And a lot of our combinations go from a gap to a zone. And we got to understand it, and we're doing a better job of that. And then that's part of, if I was sitting here and it was year 3 or 4, we'd be a lot better because they're hearing the same terms, they're hearing the same schemes, they're understanding how we attack an over front with a 7 technique, how we're going to attack an over front with a 9, 3, 4 under. Right now, it's all new to them, and we're learning. You'd like to learn and won a few games and turn it over less, but we didn't. But that's I still believe we're laying the right foundation and are going to have a chance, hopefully, to finish out this year the way we want to, where we're taking that next step going into next year of understanding how we're trying to play offensive football.
Think a lot about just players getting used to new schemes, new coaching. How much of what we're starting to see, though, is also the coaches getting more comfortable with the players and getting a better feel for what they're good at and what they're not so good at, and adjusting your play calls, things like that?
It's and it comes down to, it was a big word we used last week, trust. trusting. When we had our conversation in here, is that you got to trust the guy that's lined up beside you or behind you is going to do his job, because you're going to do yours. And then the big message I had Saturday was that I got to trust you guys too, and it's a two-way street. We got to trust that they can execute some of those things. And then if we feel like, as we're knowing them, that we're a little better suited for this style over that style, we got to adjust. Anybody can take a pen and a grease board and say they're lined up in this front, this coverage, and say this is how we're going to attack it. It can work, but you got to be able to do what you can do. And we're a work in progress on that. I wish we, at times we've thrown the ball really well, at times we've run the ball, but we hadn't been consistent because maybe there hadn't been enough trust all the way around. And that's something that I thought we worked on last week and got, and we got to continue this week. I got to trust the plan. I got to trust them to execute it. But then I can't be stupid in the plan and call something that we can't execute, kind of what you're asking.
Earlier this year, you talked a little bit about how sometimes as coaches you can over-prepare, you can kind of chase ghosts, you can do some of that stuff. Does playing a first-year coach, especially a coach that's in his first year in college football, eliminate any of that?
No, because we were sitting here watching Colorado defense all day today and yesterday because their defensive coordinator was at Colorado, so we're chasing ghosts again. The technology nowadays, you get film on anybody, and I haven't watched Bishop Gorman film. I'm not going to watch Bishop. I might see DeMarco Murray back there and get scared, but or Alizé Jones, that tight end they had. I always wanted to go. I always never got to go when we were recruiting a player from there. I always wanted to take that trip to go to Vegas to recruit our tight end coach and our running back coach. They went a couple times. I never got to go, but we'll still, they got coordinators that come from. We go look at where they were last year, and the defensive coordinator who was at Colorado last year. The scheme is very similar. Watched some CSU Colorado game, and then a lot of teams that run similar stuff to us. We've pulled out tape and watched it, but you got to be careful, because you got to realize that, like you said, he's their first year coaches with that program. So stuff they might have been doing at one school might be some evolution of being there 3 years. So some things we find they're doing this year and they did at CU last year defensively, then we'll integrate that tape and show it to our players. But if it's something totally new, we'll know what it is, but try not to confuse our players, if that answers your question.
Justin Sweet a little for what?
Yeah, I got to see Justin. I haven't seen. Yeah, he played for him, and I don't know what. I really don't know what Tony's background was, offense or defense. In high school, you pretty much coach it all, offense and defense. I do know he looked real athletic when they had that pick six against Nevada when he was running down the sideline. He was extremely excited, which was a big win for him. But I will talk to Justin about him. I know he really, really liked Coach and how he ran his program. And, and I only met him, sat down and talked to him a couple times, but seemed like an awesome guy.
You hopeful that Jason will be healthy?
I am hopeful. It was more on the doubtful side. It was kind of one of those got your fingers crossed, hoping he felt better from Thursday to Saturday, and it just, he didn't, and it wasn't worth it to play in that game. But Jason was in the game. Jason wants to play. Jason has been a leader for us in the way he's played and the way he's approached every week. So, we'll see as the week goes on, but I definitely feel better than I do last week, and it's only Monday.
They're going to make Hayden get on the bike at the start of every game. He was like riding the bike.
Oh, Hayden was?
I noticed he was riding the bike a lot, and then he gets out and booms that one punt. And
I know.
I'm thinking you guys may never let him get off the bike again.
I know, we need to. I was so mad on that series because that was the series that we had the punt return and get to Holden. And it gets called back, and then we get a holding on the first play on like a 3-yard gain, and then we hit the reverse for a touchdown, and then we get like 2 more hold. I mean, and when Hayden hit that ball, it just kind of calmed me down a little bit. And it went out to 3. I mean, it was a beautiful punt. Big play.
Keon had a pretty good game Saturday. What does that mean for the offense when he gets more involved?
Well, it means they were giving him some one-on-one coverage, and we took advantage of it. That one interception, we were trying to go to him. It looked like he's doubled if you probably watched the TV and you're like, why is he throwing it double? But really he had a Sam linebacker on him. and we were trying to win one-on-one, and he didn't win that one-on-one battle and got crammed into the high safety. But Kevon has extraordinary ball skills, being able to catch the ball in traffic. I think he had 3 catches in the game. I think 3, maybe 4. One of them was a design play to him off a reverse fake. If we'd have thrown it out there a little bit, it'd have been a easy touchdown for him. But he's a guy that when we have thrown it near him, he's made plays. And the style of offense that we were running on Saturday, it was going to be more of a tight end type game when we were in a lot of 2-back sets. So it was one of those games where he was going to get an opportunity. And as we plan for this week, it'll be where we feel like our best matchups are going into this game, of how we can be successful and try to do what we can do well, not necessarily what somebody else might have done well on film, what our personnel can do well.
As far as the penalty issue, do you look at bringing refs into practice or anything?
Yeah, you go.
More so than normal?
Yeah, if you start paying for them, they cost money. I know we spend all this money on feeding these guys. We feed them good. We might have to. Some of these guys aren't practicing. We might put some striped jerseys on them and let them be referees. But it is. Yeah, that's something, a note I wrote down a couple weeks ago. We got to figure out a way to get in our budget, and it's how we allocate our funds. There's money there too. But sometimes it's good just to have refs there and hey, your alignment's wrong. You're lined up in the neutral zone. Holding sometimes, happens in a game. But, I've always had refs at practice forever. Say it again. Until this year. Yeah, we had some in the spring. It's something we need to look into to getting guys out here and keeping them honest of penalties and let them know aware of, when a penalty happens.
You go practice under the lights out at Hughes?
We are. We're going to go there Tuesday for sure to make sure we have a really good practice. I thought that helped us last week. Our guys look faster. Wednesday is up in the air. We're going to go to Hughes unless the weather, right now it looks like the weather's not going to be great, so we might go inside. And then Thursday will be dependent. But definitely Tuesday. Today we're going to stay here, but definitely Tuesday. Wednesday's going to determine on the weather. All right.
Thank you.
Yes, sir. Appreciate it.
We got a couple. We don't want to be one-dimensional. We got some stuff in there. And Coach Bobo and Coach Friend have done a really good job of designing plays for success. And, our scout team's done a good job of giving us really good looks in practice. It's pretty much how it's ended up in the game. So we got some stuff in there. We got some tricks up our sleeves, some fun stuff. So.
What's it just been like to have a role created kind of for you in this offense? Because you've been battling to be the quarterback forever here, and to get a chance to actually get in and show what you can do.
It's been a blast, honestly. It's been a ton of fun. Last year I got in for a play against Hawaii and got 9 yards and, joking with a bunch of guys about how I was averaging 9 yards a carry for a year now. So, once you get in, it's kind of addicting. You really want to get back in, you get on the field, and you have some positive plays, and you want to do everything you can to get back on the field. So to have that opportunity has been awesome, and to contribute toward wins has been fun. Winning's number one, obviously. So if I can do anything to help the team win, that's what I want to do.
Did you lobby any for it, or did they come to you?
I asked. Everybody makes comments here and there, and I know some of the O-line put in a good word for me, and I didn't want to beg for it or anything, so I just kind of kept my head down and worked hard, and I think Coach decided it'd be time to give me a shot, and hopefully I've done enough to keep it in for the rest of the season. So.
How long had you been repping that package before they finally let you break it out?
That week. So Tuesday was the first day we actually put something in, and it went really well in practice, and it's something that I'm comfortable with. I wasn't a running quarterback in high school, went to prep school, and all we did was run. We had conditioning like 3 times a day. So I ended up getting faster, and Dr. Rocky Trumper fixed my knee for good. The man's a saint, saved my career. And so, a lot of running, a lot of conditioning, and just kind of turned myself into a little bit more of a dual threat. So, Tuesday was the first day we put it in and it went well, and obviously it's been somewhat successful in the game. So.
Is there some bittersweet to this? Because we hear this is going to be it for you, though.
It is, yeah. Bittersweet's a good word for it. I just got a lot of stuff going on in my life. I'm getting married in June. I've got, I want to start my career. I got career goals I want to get working towards. And I've had an unbelievable 4 years here at CSU. And, bittersweet's a really good word for it. I'm happy that this is happening now rather than at the beginning of my career and kind of fizzling out. If there was a time that I want this to happen, it'd definitely be now. So it's been fun, that's for sure.
You graduate in December or you graduate in May?
In May, okay. Yeah. And, I haven't really talked to the coaches too much about it, but, I'm sure I won't be, non-existent in the spring. I'm sure there's things I can do to help in the spring ball and that kind of stuff. But, in May I'll be graduating.
I mean, other than getting married, what are you going to do?
I really, recently, I'm not the kind of guy that's always known what he wanted to do for a career. And I've started to think a lot about, potential in the fire department and that kind of thing. And it's a long process to get hired. There are a lot of things you got to do. You got to be an EMT, you got to go through classes, that kind of stuff. And it's just something that I really set my sights on recently that is a pretty serious goal of mine. And, there are a lot of things I could be doing this spring to be working toward that. And those are the kind of things I want to get started on.
So how much better does this package make practice for you each week? I mean, how much more exciting does it make these final 3 and 4 games of the season?
It's exciting in a different way. Practice has always been kind of exciting. I always like to bounce around and try to help guys out wherever I can. But this is, it's funny. There are a lot of guys on the team that have been around me for a long time now. And, at first it was, it was a big joke because I get in and they'd all start hooting and hollering like I'm some kind of charity case or something. But, now we've been pretty successful at it. So it's a little more serious demeanor when I get in there and, people expect success. So that's a pretty good feeling. But, yeah, I mean, it's been a good time for sure.
What was running through your mind the first time Coach called it?
I wanted to score, honestly. I really wanted to score. We had a couple plays in practice that if it was live, I had a pretty good shot to score. There are some fast guys on the field, but I really want to score, and I still do. We got 3 games left, and I fully expect to score a touchdown, hopefully multiple touchdowns before the season's over. So.
Are you letting yourself look ahead just a bit and hope that you guys can either win out or get to that 6-6 and get one more game?
Oh, we fully expect to win out. This isn't a team that's trying to survive. We're desperate for success right now. Everybody's trying as hard as we can. This isn't a team that's going to be happy with, going 6-6 and maybe getting into a bowl game. This is a team that wants to win out and has something to prove that we didn't, we're not winning as many games as we did last year, obviously, but this is a team that's definitely hungry for wins. So.
The last couple of weeks, you've gotten close to the goal line, and then they give somebody else the carry.
Yeah, that's not, I'm not worried about that. I'm gonna find my way in. They got lucky this week. I think there were a couple times where I had a shot and got tripped up here or there, but I'm happy for Izzy scoring touchdowns. That kid's gonna be a stud. So for him to get some more experience and get in the end zone is really cool. And my time will come. It'll happen. I'm not too worried about that. So.
Are there times you felt like the 12th guy on the basketball team, that guy at the end of the bench, especially when your teammates start cheering when you get in and get to run a rep with the one offense or whatever?
Sometimes kind of, but at the same time, we all get along really well. There's a lot of cohesion on this team. So, a lot of it's just them messing around with me, which, I mess back. So, not really the 12th man, but more just kind of a behind-the-scenes role, I guess. A lot more player coach, you could say, trying to, keep guys out of trouble, trying to make sure we're learning the offense, trying to make sure the younger guys know when to be somewhere and where they're supposed to be, that kind of thing. So not so much the 12th man, but just a different kind of role than most people see on the field. So.
Thing for people to understand that there are dozens of guys out there every day that are never going to see the field. Some of them maybe in their entire career that still play an important role on this team.
Yeah, there are so many guys on this team that play a crucial role that are never going to get any recognition. And, the guys on the team know, we all know who puts in the work, but they're not the guys that get their name called on Saturday. And, somewhat being one of those guys for most of my career, it's really easy for me to to, empathize with those guys. And I know what they're going through, but at the same time, none of them are hanging their heads or feeling like they're owed something. Everybody in this team works hard, and, those guys are going to come in every single Monday ready to work, and there's no doubt on anybody's mind what they're going to do during the week. So, those guys aren't hanging their heads or anything, but they know the impact that they have for sure.
Why would you just like to stay at CSU? You probably could have gone somewhere where there wasn't a Garrett Grayson
Yeah.
or go through another QB battle.
You guys heard me say it before. I've been around my whole life. I think I watched my first game when I was 8 years old. Bradley Van Pelt gave me a Nike sweatband when I was young, and I still have it to this day. There's no other place for me. This is where I wanted to be, and this place is either going to sink or swim. I think we've been swimming pretty well the last couple of years, and it's been an awesome ride. And didn't matter if I played it down here. This is where my career is going to start and end. So.
Prep school route then, you think?
Absolutely. I mean,
Just walked on.
They offered me the walk on, and I felt like I was so thankful, and I just wanted a shot. And the more I thought about it, the more it was eating at me that my parents were going to have to pay for my school or help me out. I thought I owed it to my college coaches to give one more shot, and prep school didn't seem like a bad idea. I wasn't going to lose any eligibility regardless, and they told me that I would have a walk-on opportunity when I came back, even if I didn't get a scholarship. But I was able to play well enough there, and they gave me a shot, and I'll forever be thankful to Coach Fairchild and his staff for giving me the opportunity. So this is, I was never going anywhere else but here.
What's your role every day in practice? 3 quarterbacks.
Yeah.
That's 1 of 5, I guess, on the roster.
A lot of times it's seeing things that, especially Coleman and Nick can't really pay attention to all the time. Sometimes it's just saying, hey, forget that play, or, great pass, making sure that they're hearing the right things. Now it's, trying to be productive at the same time I'm signaling plays in, and trying to make sure we get the right play signaled in. Sometimes, there's a formation that's backwards or something. When we script 100 plays for a practice, it happens, trying to catch that whenever I can, that kind of stuff. And then just making sure that, the expectation of success is still there, and making sure everybody realizes, and it hasn't been a problem, but making sure everybody realizes that we expect to win every game. So.
As an offense, what do you guys have to do to fix the penalty issue?
Just more discipline. We want to win so bad, and some of them are effort. A lot of them are effort penalties, guys that are just, playing through the whistle, not to the whistle. And it's just discipline, and, it's something that we got to work on constantly, and it will get better. But with a new system and a whole new mentality to our football game, we're trying to be as physical as we possibly can. That kind of stuff's bound to happen, and we'll figure it out. There's a happy medium between being physical and getting a bunch of penalties. So,
Would having refs at practice more help? I know Coach McElwain did more in season.
Yeah.
Having some refs at practice. You guys did in the spring.
I don't know about that. I mean, a lot of guys know when they're, they can think to themselves, oh, that was kind of late or whatever. They know they did it, and Coach does a pretty good job of pointing stuff out. And anytime there's a pass interference on any field, you hear about it all the way across the field. So, on both sides. So, people know, and I don't know whether that would help or hurt, but I know that this team's moving in the right direction. So it's gonna get fixed.
Yeah.
See you finally play college football?
Yeah, it's been wonderful just because, that's one of the greatest things in the world, just being a father, because I've never had a chance to experience that. So just her being here and me be able to enjoy that time with is just the greatest feeling in the world. So.
How do you feel about the way your defense has played in recent games? It seems like you've been, Air Force, you've gone against running teams and been really good at shutting down the run. How does that help you as far as just improving and moving on the rest of the season?
I mean, it helped a lot because we gave up a lot of explosive plays against other teams that wasn't really running teams, and they ended up running the ball on us pretty well. And we just started putting emphasis on just gap control and doing your assignment and communicating on the back end to the front end. And it just shows that since we're able to stop the run, that other teams will see that on film, that we're still physical and we still a team that got fight in us and won't give up.
I was going to say, did last week feel like the first 3 weeks of the season when you were a pretty good run-stopping defense? And what do you attribute that return to?
I contributed just to putting mistakes on film and just correcting them, because obviously you're going to make mistakes, and that's the game of football. And we stopped the run and then start giving up the run. Then we continue. Now we're starting to stop it again, and that's just going back on film and just correcting our mistakes.
How much more challenging, though, then does a UNLV team that's very balanced offense become? Obviously, Wyoming, you knew if you took away the run, you guys were going to be successful against them. But UNLV, you take away the run, they might beat you through the year.
I mean, we're just going to continue to put our strengths against their weaknesses and continue to the same way we've been practicing communicating from the front end to the back end. Obviously, they pass a little bit more, and that's what we're going to focus on this week and get it corrected.
Does it hit the seniors that this is your final home game?
It haven't hit me yet, honestly, but I'm sure once I walk through the tunnel, I will kind of reflect on how many coaches I've been through, players that I played with that's not here or that's here with me, and I'm sure it'll hit me at that time. But not right now. I haven't felt it yet, not yet.
What's made playing for Coach Bobo and the staff stand out from the previous staffs you played under?
I mean, they're both wonderful staffs, but one thing about Coach Bobo, he I wouldn't say that Coach Matt doesn't care, but he genuinely cares about you outside of football, and obviously faith is a big part for him, and a lot of us on the team carry our faith pretty strong, and that's just pretty cool.
With this being the last game you guys will play at Hughes, is there a favorite moment that you have personally, a favorite game that you've played?
At Hughes?
Yeah.
Not really, nah.
How about your favorite game you played? Was it that New Mexico Bowl?
Yeah, the New Mexico Bowl. Yeah.
Where you were laying on the field after making a fumble recovery injury?
It's called sacrifice, and that's just what I do for my brothers, so, yeah.
Is it true, I mean, do players take what happens in the locker room, what happens on the practice field away with them? Those are the things you share more than games?
Yeah. Like, we talk about it a lot, what we'll miss the most, and we always bring up the locker room. It's just the people that you create a bond with for 4 years, and then who knows, you might not talk to them again, and it's just crazy how that worked. But that's one thing we always talk about, how we enjoy the locker room, and we'll miss those moments.
Obviously, you're playing your last game at Hughes. You can practice at Hughes a couple times this week, too. Is that going to make it even weirder, just being around there so much this week?
Not
Or is it
really.
different
I think we've been practicing at Hughes for the past week now. So, and Wyoming was away and was practicing at Hughes. So I'm sure I'll be at Hughes again.
What's been the hardest part about being a senior on this year's team?
Just knowing this is my last go round. I think about it like, man, sometimes the coaches bring up this your last 3 games or this your last 5 games, and every day it gets shorter and shorter. And I'm like, man, I got 3 games left. So, yeah.
If you guys could get the wins you need to get to a bowl game.
Oh, I mean, for the 4 years that I've been playing, and out of the 3 I go to a bowl game, that's pretty cool. That's pretty good. And that mean a lot to us, because that's all we talk about, going to a bowl game, because we're so used to going to a bowl game now. That's kind of like the culture here, going to a bowl game and we're winning. And I think it would mean a lot to all of us.
Pretty tough to not make it, you think?
Of course. I mean, it's the same thing with winning and losing. It's tough when you lose, and it's good when you win. So.
Did Mike Bobo make you feel like you were his guys? And if so, what was it that he did? What was it that he said that made you feel that way?
Oh, yeah, he make us feel like – I felt like I was recruited by him, and it's crazy. And I always told him that – and I tell Coach Logo, too, if I could play for you 4 years again, I would honestly do it. But it's just when he first got here, just hearing him speak, like, he genuinely cares. Like, if you really know Bobo, for Coach Bobo, like, he really care about you. and that's what make it feel like he been to my house and sat down and talked to me when he came here, but he haven't, and it just seemed that way.
How often does she tell you shh, and how often do you have to tell her?
She been in class with me, so I tell her shh pretty often. So